This is Tom Dillon, the Lifetime Liberal, and today is Friday, August 26, 2016, and the title of this rant will be No Donald Trump, America is Not a Hellhole, from an article in the New York Times by Dr. Paul Krugman. So, at the beginning, Trump was talking a lot in economic terms, in terms of people losing their jobs, people losing their jobs to manufacturing going overseas, and their jobs being taken over by people coming up from south of the border, let's just say. But that's taken quite a turn recently. He's really gotten very apocalyptical in the way that he speaks, in his terms, in terms of law and order, right and wrong, and that America is not great anymore, that we aren't great anymore. And lately, his whole outreach towards minority, has been extremely negative, extremely dark. When he's talking to an all-white audience, and I would say lecturing black people, but he's trying to explain to the white people what a terrible, terrible life they have and how he, Donald Trump, can make it better. But he's talking to these white audiences about how blacks and people of color have terrible lives, that there are incredible crime waves that are going on right now in the United States, that there are war zones in the United States. And he even made the point about that there are some places in third world countries in war zones where it's safer to walk down the street there than it is in the United States. And of course, that's not even remotely close to what is happening right now. In fact, the crime wave that he's talking about, just really does not exist to the way that he's speaking about it, not even remotely. Now, if you watch the news all the time, and especially if you watch Fox News, or if you visit a lot of right-wing websites all the time, you'll have that concept that things are just terrible all over the place. But if we just look at a couple things. Number one, the murder rate of U.S. citizens in the United States. Now, it did go up from the mid-60s to about the mid-80s. It sort of spiked there in the mid-80s, basically because we had a huge crack epidemic that was just starting in the early 80s to the mid-80s. But then, since then, it has gone down. It has gone down considerably, all right? And it has continued to go down. And if we also look at the murder rate of police officers, let's just start with the Reagan administration. So in the Reagan administration, on an annual basis, I don't have the exact numbers, but a certain number of police officers were killed in the line of duty. In George H.W. Bush's administration, the average number declined from the Bush administration, the Reagan administration. In Bill Clinton's administration, the average number declined from the Bush administration. From the next Bush administration, the average number declined from the Clinton administration. And now in the Obama administration, the average number of police officers killed on an annual basis is at the lowest that has ever been in like 50 or 60 or 70 years. So we don't have a huge crime wave. We don't have an epidemic. So what is all of this gloom and doom that Sir Donald is talking about? Basically, it has to do with a couple things. It has to do with race, all right? So, number one, he's got to tell all of this gloom and doom stuff, basically to say that he wants black people to vote for him, because, what else do they have to lose? And of course, they have a lot to lose. But at the same time, by trying to make an outreach towards blacks, what he's really trying to do is to shore up his base of white support, which he desperately needs and which he's desperately behind on, and he will not even come remotely close to winning the election unless he has that. That's what he's really appealing to, trying to tell them that that all of this gloom and doom stuff that he's talking about, it's really not that bad. He's really not a racist, because he's going to make an outreach to the blacks and say, hey, what have you got to lose? And at the same time, we know that, high percentage of black people work, high percentage of people of color, let's just say Latinos, East Asians, etc., they all work. They all work very hard. They all work just like us. You know, they have a lot to lose. The number of black people who are insured has gone up incredibly since Obamacare. So they have a lot to lose. They know what their priorities are, and they know who is providing they know who will work with them to try and help them the most in terms of what their priorities are. And it is not the Republican Party. And if I could go into just, another quick thing on that, is that where has Donald Trump been for the last 30 years in terms of doing anything even remotely close to helping people of color? We know that he was charged a couple times or sued a couple times, I believe by the Justice Department or somebody, in reference to discrimination against blacks in terms of renting units in the housing projects that he has. All right. So what has he done in the last 30 years? And if we take it aside from that, what has Hillary Clinton done? Hillary Clinton has been to the Urban League many, many times. She has been to the NAACP many, many times. She has been to the inner city churches and spoken at the inner city churches in terms of an outreach. She knows what their needs are. She is trying to provide those needs the best way that she can. And of course, if Republicans hadn't been so intransigent about doing anything to help anyone who is poor in any way, shape, or form, things could actually be a whole lot better. But Trump is making this whole facade up that he wants to encourage black people to vote for him strictly to shore up his white vote. At the same time, he's given his wink, wink, and nod, nod to all of the alternative people there, meaning the white supremacists. Yes, but I still believe that this is a white Christian nation, and all of those lesser breeds, they need to know where their place is. And listen, wink, wink, nod, nod, when I get elected, I'll go back to being, the racist that I really am. Just an incredible display, of ignorance on his part. Because in essence, he doesn't really want to learn anything about the troubles, about the problems of people of color. When I say people of color, blacks, Hispanics, East Asians, etc. He just considers people of color burdens on society. And of course, as long as they know their place, that's okay. So I don't even know how to stop this thing. Just unbelievable. This is a great country, and all he's trying to do is take it down.